Hey, Zane Griggs here. Have you ever heard of carb cycling as a way to continue to build muscle, but still give your body time to burn fat and lose a little bit of that extra? You just not pack on the extra weight that can come with eating, okay, to build muscle. Which a lot of people, they tend to bulk up a bit. That seems to be a trend, a cycle of bulking and then leaning out, as opposed to this is sort of a mix of that on certain days throughout the week. So you might have your weight training or resistance training days, which could be like a boot camp, or even something like a sprint run, something like that. So something where you're doing high intensity work that requires some sort of recovery after a 30-second to 1.5, 2 minute work time. So what's called carb cycling, where you have maybe like a carb refuel meal, recovery meal right after your workout, and you might even have a second carb meal later that day. I tend to have mine in the evening when I normally have my starchy carb meal, and right after that workout. So I'll have my carbs right after that workout with some protein, and then I'll shift back to a low carb plan. Like I just had some eggs and asparagus since I had my workout this morning with a shake and a little bit of sweet potato post workout for recovery. Shift back to eggs and asparagus, so protein and veggies, a little bit of fat there. And then tonight at dinner, I scale back on the fat and would have like a protein, some veggies, some salad, and maybe a small carb source, or I'll end up having maybe some cashews after dinner, something like that. But let's say tomorrow, when I'm not weight training, I'll stick to low carb all day and allow my body to burn fat throughout the whole day. So you shift it's like a flexible dieting, so it's also known as, but you shift your carb intake to match your activity level. Now, if I'm just doing a cardio day tomorrow, where I'm just going like maybe a fasted cardio, go out before I eat anything and have a light run, or you hit the treadmill or the rowing machine just to kind of burn off some extra calories, get a little fat burning in, that's fine. I would say still stick to a low carb, even higher fat diet that day, because you really don't need the carbs to refuel sort of a lighter cardio workout. But it's the resistance training where you're really using those energy systems, which basically they pull the glycogen out of the muscle and they help improve insulin sensitivity. So we want to feed that system. We want to, when we drain the muscles of their glycogen and create that insulin sensitivity, we want that cycle to be rewarded. So even if you're not really trying to necessarily even build a lot of muscle. You guys, you can have a full serving of carb, maybe a carb and a half, so a serving and a half, so 30 to 45 grams, 50 grams of carbs, that's fine. If you're really looking to lean out, you might want a smaller, like a half a serving of carbs, so like 15 grams. And so you just use a food app to figure out, well, what does that mean? That's, it might be a small half of a piece of fruit, or a small piece of fruit, or a very small amount of like a sweet potato, or a half a cup of rice or quinoa. Something like that would be 15 grams of carbs with some protein, low fat with those carbs. And then on your other meals, like I said, shift back to the lower carb, maybe a little more fat on that. So with my eggs, I ate the whole egg, asparagus with some butter on it, maybe cooked in coconut oil. So you just shift back and forth and allow time in there for your blood sugar, okay, and the insulin to come back down after your carb meal, and shift back to that low carb diet. So that puts your body back in a place to start burning fat again, but you still get the recovery and the benefit of those carbs for building the muscle, allowing them to recover and be ready for your next workout, and filling up those glycogen stores in the muscles which you've just drained. And that's what gives them a little more of that fullness, okay, and allows for more growth, development, recovery for strength, for performance. It benefits all those, growth, strength, performance, all those, to have a little bit of carb afterwards. Again, if that's not your primary goal, you can have half a serving after a weight training workout. But for you guys out there who are trying to, maybe you put on 10 pounds, but you're like me, you're not 20 anymore, right? You can't just eat carbs all day and expect it all to go to muscle like we used to. So we got to shift back and forth a little bit and feed the workout, okay, and then go back to a low carb, which allows us to shift back to the fat burning mode, and have those non-weight training days to be low carb, to have a little more fat burning. Just make time for your body to burn fat, okay? And the other benefit to that is it brings inflammation down. So a low carb diet lowers inflammation, and on those rest days, that's exactly what we want to do, especially again, as we get past 35, 40 years old, inflammation is an issue, and it's a big, it can be a big hindrance to recovery from workouts and that growth and healing. So by lowering the carb intake, especially lowering sugar intake, you know, the really sugary carbs, but lowering that carb intake, we lower inflammation and allow more healing to take place, more growth hormone to be released for healing, and allow us to burn more fat. So if you have any questions about that, I know that might be a new principle for you, but it's called carb cycling or flexible dieting. Feel free to leave some questions below. I'll be happy to answer them or message me directly. If you know someone that could benefit from this, please tag them. And I'll even I'll throw in a link in the comments that has it's a link to my low carb diet plan. It's a general plan, you know, protein, veggies, fat here, protein, veggie, and it would allow for it after a workout. You know, you have the carb intake within 45 minutes to an hour after that workout. So it's, again, if you have questions, this might be new to you, feel free to put them below. I'm happy to answer them. I'm sure you won't be the only one with a question. And I'll talk to you later.